We now begin with Berachos Daf Berachos 10a. The Gemara just left off saying that the parsha of Ashrei Ish and the parsha of Lama Rug Shugayim and Tehillim is really all one parsha, and the Gemara now attempts to prove this with a statement by Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. The Gemara begins: Kol parsha shehaisa chaviva al David, any parsha which was beloved to David, pasach ba ba'ashrei, he begins with the word Ashrei, v'sayim ba ba'ashrei, and he ends with the word Ashrei. Pasach bi'ashrei dechsiv Ashrei Ish, he begins with the word Ashrei like the parsha of Ashrei Ish, v'sayim ba'ashrei, and how does that parsha end? It ends with the word Ashrei, dechsiv Ashrei kol chosevo. It says in the end of the parsha, Ashrei kol chosevo. So this was actually the end of Lama Rag Shugayim. You see that it's all one parsha, and the Gemara has brought its proof that these two parshios are actually one. Now, two dots near the top of the page. Hanu Biryone dehave b'shivavuse de Rabbi Meir. There were some thugs who lived in the neighborhood of Rabbi Meir, v'have kametzaru le'tuva, and they were bothering him a lot. Havakaboy Rabbi Meir rachmi alayhu. Rabbi Meir davened that something should happen to them, they should stop, kihechi dilamusu, in order that they should die. Amrle Beruria devisu. So Beruria, his wife, said to him, "Mai daitach, what are you thinking? Mishum dechsiv yitamu chatoim. It says that the sins should be done, should be finished. Miksiv chotim. It doesn't say the sinners. Chatoim ksiv. It says the sins. V'yod, and further shvila seifetikra. Look at the end of the very same pasuk. Urishoim od einam. It says there will no longer be the wicked. Kevan di yitamu chatoim. Once the sins are finished, urishoim od einam, then there will no longer be wicked people. Ella, rather, boy rachmi alayhu de lahadru b'tshuva, you should instead daven that they should return and do teshuva, urishaim od einam, and then there will be no more rishaim, bo rachmi alayhu v'hadru b'tshuva. So he did daven for them that they should do teshuva, and they did teshuva. Two dots. Amar la hahu tzeduki livruria. There was a tzeduki who said to Bruria the following. Ksiv, it says, Rani akara lo yelada. She should rejoice, the barren one who doesn't give birth. So he asked, Mishum de lo yelada Rani, because she's barren, that's why she's rejoicing. That's why she's singing. Amrale. So she said to him, Shatia, you fool, shvila sefer dekra. Look at the end of this very pasuk. Techsiv, because it says, Ki rabim b'nei shomeimla mi b'nei be'ula amar Hashem. There are more children in the desolate one than in the one that is married. Ella, rather, maya akara lo yalada. What does it mean, akara lo yalada? What it means is, Rani Knesset Yisrael, the Jewish people, the Jewish congregation should celebrate. Shadoma liisha akara is similar to a woman who is barren. Shelo yalda banim, who has no children. Legehenim kivasaychu, who has no children, who are going to Gehenim as you are. So this pasuk is not referring to the fact that the Knesset Yisrael is barren. It's referring to the fact that it is barren of children who are going to Gehenim. The two dots. Amar le'yahut tzeduki l'Rabbi Avo. There was a tzeduki who said to Rabbi Avo the following. Ksiv, it says in the Navi, Mizmor leDavid bevarcho mepnei Avshalom beno. It says that David wrote a song when he was running away. This is in Tehillim, when he was running away from Avshalom, his son, Uchsiv, and it says leDavid michtam bevarcho mipnei Shaul b'ma'ara. It says that David wrote when he was running away from Shaul in the cave. So two different mizmorim of Tehillim that are written, one about Avshalom and one about running away from Shaul. So the Gemara asks, Hai Maisa have Beresha. Now, which one of these stories came first? Michdi, let us see. Maisa Shaul have Beresha. The first episode that takes place is with David and Shaul. So therefore, Lichtov Beresha, why isn't it written first? This was the question that the Tzeduki asked Rabbi Avo. Why does Tehillim seem to be out of order? Amar Lehi said to him, Atun delo darshitun smuchin kashalachu. You have this difficulty because you do not darshan smuchin. What that means is you do not darshan things that are next to one another. Anon de darshinan smuchim lo kashalan. But we who do darshan smuchim, who pay attention to what different parshios are next to, it is not difficult. The Amar Rabbi Yochanan, because Rabbi Yochanan said, Smuchim min ha-Torah minayin. Where can we learn out smuchim from the Torah? As it says in Tehillim, Shenamar, like it says, Smuchim la'ad le'olam asuyim be'emes v'yosher. This is a source for the idea of smuchim. Lama nismecha parshas Avshalom la parshas Gog uMagog. And what's going on over here is, why is the parsha of Avshalom near the parsha of Gog uMagog, seemingly out of place, but it's placed near the parsha of Gog uMagog? Shem yomer lecha adam klum yesh eved shemorid baravo. That if someone should say to you, do we ever find examples of an Eved who rebels against his master? Afato emerlo, then you should respond to him. Klum yesh ben shemorid ba'aviv. Is there ever an example of a son who rebels against his father? Ela hava, rather that happened in the story of Avshalom and David HaMelech. There was a son who rebelled against his father. Hachanami have, so too this story of Gogu Magog we can find in Evid that servants would rebel against their master. At the two dots now, Amr Rabbi Yochanan, Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Rabbi Yochanan says in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Mai Dechsiv, what does the pasuk mean when it says, Pia Pascha b'chachma, v'soras chesed al lashona? It says her mouth opens in wisdom, and the Torah of chesed is on her tongue. Keneged mi amar Shlomo mikrazeh. Who was this pasuk said corresponding to? Lo amru ela keneged David. It was said about David, Aviv, David his father. Shedar b'chamisha olamim. David HaMelech lived in 5 worlds, v'amar shira, and in all 5 worlds that he lived in, he said shira, he said songs of praise to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and here are the 5 worlds. Dar b'mei imo, first he lived in the womb of his mother, v'amar shira, and he said songs of praise, shenemar, like it says, Barchi nafshi es Hashem v'chol karavai es Shem kadsho. So v'chol karavai es Shem kadsho, it implies he's in the womb, and he's Barchi nafshi es Hashem, he gives a blessing to Hashem. Yatza la'avir ha'olam, he comes out to the world, v'nistakel b'kochavim u'mazolos, and he looks at the stars, V'yamar Shir, and he says songs of praise, Shenemar, like it says, Baruch Hu Hashem Malachav Gibore Koach Ose Devaro Lishmoa B'Kol Devaro, Baruch Hu Hashem Kol Tzeva'av, bless Hashem all of the hosts, a reference to the stars, V'gomer, etc. Yonak Mishtei Imo V'nistakel B'dadeh, he nursed, and he looked at his mother's B'dadeha, at her breasts, V'yamar, and he said Shir, and he said praises, songs of praise, Shenemar, like it says, Baruch Nafshi Es Hashem V'al Tishkechi Kol Gemulav. It says, don't forget Kol Gemulav. My Kol Gemulav. What are all these kindnesses of God? Rabbi Avo says, Sha'asala dadim b'makom bina, that the dadim, the breasts, are placed in a place, they're placed in a place of wisdom. Taimamai, what is so wise about their placement? Rav Yehuda says, Kadesh le'istakel b'makom erva, one explanation that the baby should not look at the private area, at the place of erva. Rav Masna Amar Kadesh lo yinek mimakom atinofes. Rav Masna says, in order that the baby should not nurse from a dirty area, that's where they are placed, where they are. Now the next world that David HaMelech sees, he sees the downfall of the Rishoim, V'yamar Shir, and he says songs of praise, Shenemar, like it says, Yitamu chatoim min haaretz u'rishoim od einam barchi nafshi es Hashem. There will no longer be Rishoim, there will no longer be the wicked, and I will bless Hashem. Hallelujah. Nistakel b'yom hamisa, then he looked at the day of death. V'yamar Shir, and he said songs of praise, Shenemar, like it says, Barchi nafshi es Hashem, Hashem Elokai, Godalta od hod v'hodor lavashta. So it seems to be songs of praise. My mashma, but the Gemara says, my mashma dal yom hamisa nemar. Where do we see anything in this pasuk that this was talking about the Yom Hamisa? As you said, this world represented the day of death. Where do we see that? Amar Rabba bar Rav Shila miseifa dinyana. Rabba bar Rav Shila says, you see this from the end of the pasuk. Techsiv, like it says, Tastir panacha yibohelun, tosef rucham yigvon. They perish, they die when their spirit leaves them. V'gomer, etc. Rav Simi bar Ukva, v'yamrila mar Ukva. Rav Simi bar Ukva, some people say mar Ukva, have shchiach kamei de Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi. He frequented Rabbi Shimon ben Pazi. V'have misader agadata kamei Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, and he used to arrange agadata. He used to arrange midrashim in front of Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. So the following they've discussed. Amar Lei said to him, "Mai dichsiv barchi nafshi es Hashem b'chol karavai es Shem kadsho." What does this mean when it says, "I bless Hashem and all of my insides bless His holiness"? Amar Lei said to him, "Bo ure'ei shelo kamidas Hakadosh Baruch Hu midas basar v'dam." What this is telling you is, come and see how the ways of Hakadosh Baruch Hu are not the ways of man. Midas basar v'dam tzartzura al gabe akosel v'eino yachal lahatel baruach u'neshama kirvayim uvnei mayayim. When a person draws a picture upon a wall, he can't give it a spirit of life. He can't give it insides. He can't give it life. V'Hakadosh Baruch Hu eino kein, but Hakadosh Baruch Hu is not like that. Tzartzura besoch tzura. He draws an image inside an image. He created the world and created life within the world. Umatel baruach u'neshama kirvayim uvnei mayayim. He puts into it life and he gives insides to the bodies. V'hainu da'amra Chana, and that's what Chana said when she said, "Ein kadosh ka'Hashem." There is no one as holy as Hashem. Kein biltecha, no one like you. Ve'ein sur kelokeinu. There's no rock like our God. My ein sur kelokeinu, ein tzayor kelokeinu. How can we understand the word sur? We can understand it as tzayor. There is no artist like God, and that also is the meaning of the pasuk of V'chol karavai as Shem kadsho. All of the insides. When he draws this picture, he also creates it with spirit and with the insides. My ki ein biltecha. What does the pasuk mean when it finishes there and it says there's no one like you? Amar Rav Yehuda bar Menashe al tikri kin biltecha ela ein levalo secha. Doesn't mean there's no one like you. What it means is there's no one that can essentially outlast you. Shalo kemidas HaKadosh Baruch Hu midas basar v'dam. The way of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not like the way of flesh and blood. Midas basar v'dam ma'aseh yadav meval lenoso. When it comes to basar v'dam, to flesh and blood, that which he creates usually outlasts him. HaKadosh Baruch Hu meval lemaisa, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu outlasts his own creations. So Amar Le, he said to him, Ano hachi ko aminu lach. He said, okay, that's a good answer of what that pasuk means, but here's what I was really asking. Hani chamisha borchi nafshi keneged miya Amron David. Who were these 5 borchi nafshi said corresponding to? Who did David HaMelech say them in reference to? Lo Amron ela keneged HaKadosh Baruch Hu keneged neshama. He said them to correspond to both HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the soul, connecting the two of them in these ways. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu molei kol ha'olam. Number 1, just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu fills the world, af neshama maleas kol haguf. So too the neshama of a person, so too the soul of a person fills his body. Number 2, Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu roa ve'eino nira, just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees but is not seen. Af neshama roa ve'eino niris, so too the neshama, the soul, can see but is not seen. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu zones kol olam kulo, just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu satiates and sustains the world. Af neshama zones kol haguf, so too the neshama sustains the body. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu tar, just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu is tar, is pure. Af neshama tahora, so too the soul is tahora, is pure. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu yoshe b'chadrei chadorim, just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu stays in the private area. Af neshama yosheves b'chadrei chadorim, so too the soul is in the inner rooms. It's in a place where it can't be seen. Yavo mi sheyesh bo chamisha devarim halalu, the one who has these 5 attributes should come. V'yashabach lemi sheyesh bo chamisha devarim halalu, and should praise the one who has these 5 attributes. So what he was saying was that these psukim, these borchi nafshis, are a reference to these 5 connections between the neshama and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're now at the 2 dots near the bottom of the page. Amar Rav Hamnuna says, Mai dichsiv, what does the pasuk mean when it says Mi ka'chacham mi yodea pesher davar? Who is the wise one who knows the interpretation? It means as follows: Mi ka'Hakadosh Baruch Hu sheyodea lasos pshara bein shnei tzadikim. Who is like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who knows how to make a compromise between 2 tzadikim, bein Chizkiyo liyeshayo, between Chizkiyo and Yeshayo. Chizkiyo Amar leisi Yeshayo gabai dehachi eshkechon beiliyahu de'azal gabai achav. So Chizkiyahu said that Yeshayahu, the Navi, should be coming to visit me, because that's what we find by Eliyahu, that Eliyahu, the Navi, went by Achav, who was the king. But Yeshayahu said, Leisi Chizkiyahu gaboy. Chizkiyahu should be the one to come to me. Tahachi eshkechon beYehoram ben Achav. So we find by Yehoram, the Azal Lagabe Elisha, he came to Elisha, the king, going to the Navi. Ma asa HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what did HaKadosh Baruch Hu do? Hevi Yisurim al Chizkiyahu, he brought afflictions upon Chizkiyahu. V'yamar lo, and he said to him, Yeshayahu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Yeshayahu, Leich uvaker es hachola, go and visit the sick. Shenemar, like it says, Vayomim ohem chola Chizkiyahu lamus, Vayavo elav Yeshayahu ben Amotz hanavi. It says in those days Chizkiyahu was sick, and Yeshayahu came to visit him. Vayomer Elav, and he said to him, Ko amar Hashem, Tzav leveischa ki meis ata v'lo sechaya. He told him, you're going to die, and you will not live. V'gomer, etc. Mai ki meis ata v'lo sechaya. So what does it mean over here when it says, kind of like a double language, you're going to die, Chizkiyahu, and you won't live? Meis ata ba'olam hazeh, it means you're going to die in this world. V'lo sechaya lo olam haba, and you won't get life in the next world. Amar Lei said back to him, My kuli hai, what is this that I don't deserve the world to come? Why not? Amar Lei, he said to him, Mishum de lo asakta b'pirya v'ribya, because you did not have children, you were not osik in the mitzvah of pirya v'ribya. Amar Lei said to him, Mishum de chazoi li beruach hakodesh. The reason why is because I saw in Ruach hakodesh the nafki minoi benin de lo mal, that I would have children who would not be righteous. Amar Lei said back to him, Bahadik hav sheiderachman alamalach, what are you dealing with the secrets of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Mai de mifkedis iboylach lemevad, that which you are commanded to do is what you're supposed to do. Umad enicha kame kutsha berichu liavid, and that which is good in the eyes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu will do. Amar Lei said to him, Hashta, and if that's the case now, havli baratoch, give me your daughter. Efsher de garma zechusa didi v'didach, maybe my merit and your merit can combine. V'nafki minoi benin demalu, and we can have children who are great. Amar Lei, he said to him, Kvar nigzera alecha gezera. The decree against you has already been created, has already been decreed. There's nothing that can be done. Amar Lei said back to him, Ben Amotz, the son of Amotz, Kala Nevuasech v'tzei, your prophecy is finished and go out of here. Kach mekublani mi beis avi abba, so I have a tradition from the house of the father of my father. Afilu cherev chadam unachas al tzavaro shel adam, even if there's a sword on the neck of a person, al yimna atzmo min arachamim, the person should not give up from mercy. Itmar Nami, it was taught as well, Rabbi Yochanan v'Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar, the Amri Travayu, they both say, Afilu cherev chadam unachas al tzavaro shel adam, even if there is a sharp sword on the neck of a person, al yimna atzmo min arachamim, he should not hold back from davening for mercy, shenemar, like it says, hein yikteleni lo ayachel, even though they kill me, I will be hoping and davening and praying for salvation. That is the end of the Gemara here on Daf Yud Amud Aleph, Daf 10a in Maseches Brachos.